Hello, everyone, and welcome to After Hours Football, where we will be analyzing every aspect of the game, including fantasy, predictions, hot takes, and all that kind of stuff. I'm joined by my hosts, Nate and Caleb.
Hey, guys.
All right, so just to kind of give you a little breakdown of the segments, we're going to hit some trivia first, and that's going to be hosted by Caleb. We're going to get some fantasy analysis and sleepers, things like that, trades, starts once we get into the season. And finally, we're going to kind of wrap it up with predictions, award predictions, division standing predictions, which is what we'll be focusing on today. We're going to get right into the trivia. So, Caleb?
Yeah, so like Nate said, I'm Caleb, and I'm hosting the trivia. So how this is basically going to work, each player, who are the players going to be Nate and Maddox, will get 4 questions worth 1 point, and then we'll have a lightning round at the end, which is 3 questions worth 2 points. So just to get right into it, Maddox, are you ready?
I am.
All right, so the first question. Who finished as the quarterback 1 this past season in fantasy with 4,544 passing yards and 37 passing touchdowns?
Josh Allen.
That's correct. Who was the 2016-17 MVP of the season?
I'm going to go Tom Brady.
That's incorrect. The correct answer is Matt Ryan.
Oh.
What was the score of the divisional round game of the Ravens-Titans 2019 playoffs?
28-12.
That's correct. And then finally, this player had 1,065 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns on the ground last year. Who is it? I'll give you a hint. He's considered highly overrated in the NFL community, which I don't know why.
It's a tough one. I was thinking Gibson, but you said overrated, and I think he's fairly rated, so I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs.
That's correct. Josh Jacobs it is. So, Max, you ended the round with 3 points. And, Nate, you have to be on your game to tie it up. So, Nate, your first question is, which 2 rookie running backs were tied for first in rushing touchdowns among all rookies this past season?
I'm going to go with Gibson and Dobbins.
That's incorrect. You had part of it. Gibson is correct. It's Gibson and Jonathan Taylor. All right, your next question is, what 2 players are the only players in NFL history to unanimously win the MVP award?
Manning. Not Manning. Ooh.
I'll still give it to you if you get both of them.
All right. And Manning isn't one of them?
Manning's not one
Okay,
of them.
so I'll go maybe Brady
Brady's 1.
and Montana.
That's incorrect. It's Brady and Lamar Jackson. I don't know. I honestly don't think Lamar should have been
Yeah, he should
unanimous,
not be on
but whatever. All right, the next question is, who led the NFL in interceptions this past season?
Ooh. Xavier Howard.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, and then your last question, how many regular season touchdowns did Michael Thomas have this past season?
That would be 1, right?
Incorrect. It's 0.
0. Wow.
He had a touchdown in the wild card game against the Bears.
Okay, so 1 for the whole season, 0 for the regular
Okay,
season.
so at the end of
That's not
the normal round, Maddox has 3 points and Nate has 2. So you still have a chance to win.
I got 1, don't I?
No, you have 2. You got the Oh no, you do have 1. I forgot you got
Okay,
this.
yeah.
I forgot you have half the. Okay.
But
You have 2 of 1.
lightning round counts
Lightning
as 2.
round is more valuable than.
And
the
he's
normal.
going to throw the question out there, and both of us have an opportunity to respond at the same time.
All right, are y'all both ready? The first lightning round question is, who led the league in passing yards this past season?
Sean Watson.
That's correct.
No, I'm not going to.
All right. Which 2 teams are tied for the most Super Bowl losses?
Bills and
Niners.
No.
You go.
Bills and Dolphins?
Ooh. The Broncos are one of them. It's the Broncos.
Broncos and the Bills.
Can't think of the other team. It's not the Vikings. They've lost 4, so they've been time with the Bills. I want to say the Cowboys, but I don't think it's the Cowboys. Ooh.
The Bills aren't one of them?
Bills are not one of them, though.
Wow.
I guess the Steelers.
No.
Patriots?
Which 2 are the Broncos and Patriots?
What?
Did you say Broncos and Patriots?
Broncos and
Yeah,
Patriots.
that's correct. All right. Broncos and Patriots are tied for the most Super Bowl losses, each with 5.
Ooh.
All right.
Patriots did suck in the 80s.
All right. Next question. Last of the lightning round. This could win Nate the. This is whoever gets this wins it. Who was the first overall selection in the 2017 NFL Draft?
Myles Garrett.
That's correct. Myles Garrett. So Nate finishes with 3 points and Maddox finishes with 6 points. It was a close. It actually came down to the last one. So
that was solid.
Good game, y'all.
Good first segment.
I almost said Baker Mayfield too.
First overall. That was 28. That was the next year. They still sucked after they got him.
All right, so kind of moving forward, moving to some fantasy. All three of us have a sleeper that we're keeping an eye on this year for y'all's fantasy team. So, Caleb, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. For my my fantasy sleeper this year, honestly, it might be kind of biased because I'm a Washington fan, but Curtis Samuel, I think, is someone to really keep an eye on. His ADP right now, he's like wide receiver like 41, or I want to say, or 47 in PPR. And like this man had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage last year if you combine rushing and receiving, and 5 touchdowns while being the option 3 on the team. And I think now with a quarterback that likes to push the ball down the field, across from Terry McLaurin, Ryan Fitzpatrick will help boost Curtis Samuel's fantasy value. And I can really see him as a very solid wide receiver 2 or 1 eventually at some point in the season.
What do you think about that, Max?
I can see that happening.
I think that's a. Is he really going that low in most leagues?
Well, that's what it says. Like I think in our league, he went like in like the 8th or 9th round, I want to say, or maybe even later than that. But I personally think, as of right now, I think it's fair because like he hasn't really like he hasn't passed 1,000 receiving yards in a season yet. But I think he definitely has the potential to, especially with considering he had Teddy Bridgewater and Cam Newton with his shoulder injury these past couple of years. I think he has a chance to actually get. His play style fits what Ryan Fitzpatrick likes, to push the ball on the field, and him and Terry McLaurin are these like burner, speedy guys that like to get down the field.
So, will he be wide receiver 2 on the Redskins, or do you think he'll stay?
Yeah, he'll be across from Terry. They might put him in the slot a little bit, just depending how rookie De'Ami Brown does. 'Cause I think Adam Humphries right now is in the slot. But if De'Ami Brown plays well, I think he has potential to start on the outside and then move Curtis Samuel to the slot. Either way, he's still going to get a lot of receptions, and especially in a PPR league where he does run a lot of drag routes, so he'll get some action.
I think that's certainly fair. For what you said about PPR, do you know how many receptions he had last year on the top of your head? You said 1,200 yards.
He had 77 receptions last year.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's certainly a solid sleeper, I would say. So I guess I'll go next. My sleeper, again, a little bit biased. I'm a Saints fan. I'm going to go Marquez Callaway. So he's going to... He actually went undrafted in our league, and I picked him up. I think so, yeah.
You picked him up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And I'd say in most leagues he's going undrafted. Well, I actually don't have his ADP on me right now, but he's probably going to be the wide receiver 1 going into week 1. Traquan Smith is injured for, I believe it said, an undisclosed reason. So he may be out week 1, or there's some sort of tension going on there. Something that will most likely result in him not being wide receiver 1 going into the game against the Packers. So that being said, we saw the connection between him and Jameis in that preseason game against the Jaguars. Now that may not prove much, but I think that him and Jameis is going to be a really solid connection going forward. And we've seen previously wide receiver 1s in this Sean Payton offense have done really well. Of course, that wide receiver 1 production may have taken a slight decline with Drew Brees' just throwing power going down as he reached the end of his career. But I think if we kind of go back to where the Saints had one of the top offenses in the league, it was a very pass-heavy, gunslinging offense. And I think Jameis Winston can bring that back. And in these first couple weeks without Michael Thomas being there, I think Marquez Callaway can kind of take the show away and be a really solid maybe wide receiver 2 or flex spot for you. So I think you should pick him up.
People are really quick to forget that, like, just 2 years ago, Jameis Winston led the league in passing and threw for 5,100 yards. Like,
he also led the league in another stat.
Well, yeah, he also did have those 30 interceptions, which obviously isn't good, but I mean, that's bad for him, but for a receiver like Marquez Callaway, who's going to be the wide receiver 1 on the team, do you know like when Michael Thomas is projected to come back?
I think it says something about a month into the season, so I think, especially off the waiver wire, it's a really solid pickup for at least the first 4 weeks, and even with Thomas coming back as a wide receiver 2, I think you could see a lot of options. We saw in Tampa with Chris Godwin, I believe when Jameis was there, that's kind of when he had his breakout year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2019. That was when he had his 1,300-yard year. He did play really well that year. But I agree. I think Marquez Callaway has potential to be a very solid fantasy flex, wide receiver 2 even, especially if Michael Thomas isn't there. And if Traquan Smith's not there either, who else are they throwing the ball to?
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Oh, really? I thought the Eagles had him.
Nah, we switched around.
That guy's such a bum.
I'm going to continue with the Marquez or the Saints hype train. I'm going to go thinking between two people. I have two of them. One is Javonte Williams, a rookie running back for the Broncos. The other one is Jameis Winston. I don't know off the top of my head where Winston is being drafted, but
he's a free agent in our league. I know that.
Yeah, or I think someone picked him up today actually. But he's going undrafted in most leagues, and while he might not be the best QB overall, like for the Saints, we're thinking fantasy here, where he last time played a full season had 5,000 yards and how many touchdowns? 33. Yeah. So I mean he's a very high ceiling. Then with Javonte Williams, I think Melvin Gordon is getting to that age. He's around like 28, I think.
Washed
He's about
up.
28. That's usually where running backs start to go downhill. And just from some of the preseason games I've watched, the stats don't show it, but I think he showed lots of promise in those few, games he had. He had a nice run, but it got called back for holding, I think. It was a 20-yard screenplay, I want to say. But I really like him. I got him, I think, in the 9th or 10th round in our league. So I thought I got a really good pick with that, but I also think Jameis has a really high upside too, just because what happened last time he played a full season. He was.
Do y'all remember how after the 2019 season he got surgery on his eye?
Yeah.
I actually think that will be very have a big impact on his playing because he hasn't started since that happened.
Yeah.
I remember when he got the surgery, everyone was making jokes oh, he about to go 30 or 29 next year instead. But I actually think that part of his reason he was so bad is because of his decision making and vision. But if obviously that's improved, then I think he has the potential to be back to his rookie year Pro Bowl form.
I also think that a year under one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of the NFL could help him as well. And just to go back to the ADP, his overall is 211. I don't know what round that equates to, but he's going QB number 27.
Yeah, I can. I would take him over at least 10 guys above him, probably, I'd say.
So we got Curtis Samuel, Marquez Callaway, Jameis Winston, and Javonte Williams. Those are kind of the guys that we think could bring some big production for your team.
I'm also really high on Jameis, too. I forgot to mention this, just because New Orleans fits his play style perfectly. Gunslinger, they have, let's see here, Marquez Callaway, who's a deep threat. Traquan Smith, deep threat. Deontay Harris, deep threat. Once Michael Thomas comes back, he'll
he's not a deep threat.
I know he's not a deep threat, but he'll take coverage off, or he'll take pressure off the guys who go deep and run those long routes because he runs slants.
They also got Kamara too. I didn't even mention Kamara, but
and finally with I feel like this offense can really open up, and Sean Payton's offensive genius will really finally be able to show through again. Like we saw in those early 2010s and even in that Super Bowl run in 2009. I think they'll actually finally be able to take the top off of defenses again. And the defenses don't just have to kind of press up to kind of stop the whole entire offense because of Breeze's limited arm power. So any other thoughts on some sleepers, trades you should make in fantasy, people who are going too low? Anything else y'all got?
One thing I'd recommend for people, just because Saquon Barkley won't be back until week 4 fully, because I know the Giants, what they'll probably do is they'll kind of give him 5 or 10 carries week 1, week 2, week 3, and owners will start to panic and want to get rid of him. So I think around week 3, depending if all goes well for fantasy owners, Saquon's value won't be that high, so I think people might be able to get Saquon for a pretty good value because when he's fully healthy, he's a top 5 fantasy running back. So that's something I recommend for people.
Yeah, of course. And do any of you guys actually know when the NFL season starts? This is being recorded on Friday, August 26th, so we have 2 weeks.
I think it's
the
September 12th,
12th or 13th, one of those. Well, actually, that's the first Sunday, but
Thursday's the 9th.
September
right?
12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got about 2-ish weeks, a little over.
I personally am not very high on Saquon Barkley in fantasy. in our league,
I'm not either. I just think that like you can get him for a really good value early in the season just because people will panic.
I had second thoughts, but now I would definitely say draft Ezekiel Elliott over Saquon in fantasy. Like I think my opinion swayed from than a couple months ago because I'm not extremely high on Ezekiel Elliott either. But like with that O-line back and with Dak back, I think he'll be a lot better than Saquon, who has one of the worst O-lines in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Along with a really bad QB.
Yeah, worst quarterback in the NFL.
All right. So anything else about that? Any other fantasy, just kind of tips in general that you guys have?
I think that's it.
All right.
Running back heavy. That's all I gotta say.
Running back heavy. I actually kind of did the opposite of that. I believe my first round.
Well, actually, our league is a one running
Yeah.
back, like one designated running back slot. So it's not, but like most leagues that
Like
have
ESPN
two.
Fantasy, I would recommend going your first 4 picks. 3 of them are running backs.
I don't know. I mean, I would say definitely first 2, but I'm not sure.
I'd say first 2 running back, 3rd round wide receiver, running back. Because wide receivers this year have lots of depth. You have guys like T. Higgins, Chase Claypool,
DJ
Brandon
Chark.
Ayuk. I'm not too high on DJ Chark. But you have guys like those who have really good top 15, top 10 upside, especially Claypool and Ayuk, I think. Because Ayuk, I know in training camp, he's been really good talk that has surrounded him. So I have high hopes for him and Claypool. I think with the Steelers' new offensive coordinator this year, Matt Canada, they run more of a not dink and dunk offense like they did with Randy Fichtner. That's why you saw Deontay Johnson have a ton. Deontay and Juju would both have lots of catches, but not so many yards, and that was why. So I think this year Chase Claypool, the offense will fit more with his style of play, like medium passes, deep passes, rather than like these 5-yard drag routes every other play. So
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
All right. So sounds good. Moving into most likely this final segment, we got some predictions. So Caleb's just going to kind of be saying his thoughts on what we think. I predicted the AFC, and Maddox did his NFC prediction standing. So you want to go and go first, Maddox?
yeah. All right. So starting with the NFC North, with Packers and the Packers with Rodgers and Adams, their little whole debacle. With them coming back, I have them going 11-6 and 4-2 in the division, finishing as a 3 seed in the NFC.
11-6.
11-6.
The Packers?
The Packers are going 11-6.
Ooh.
The Vikings and Bears got better, so you can.
I mean, I wouldn't. They improved their line a little bit. They lost. Didn't they lose one? They cut Jeff Gladney. That's who it was. I don't know
They
why.
got rid of Corey Linsley too. So
The Packers did. I'm talking about the Vikings.
Oh.
The Vikings, they got rid of their first round corner Jeff Gladney. They cut him. I mean, he wasn't very good last year, but he was still only a rookie. And like their cornerback depth, like they have old Patrick Peterson, and they have, I think Mike Hughes. I want to say, like I don't know. I don't love the Vikings, but I do see why people think they're going to be a lot better this year. But I don't really see what really they improved besides their offensive line getting Darisaw in the draft. Like, I don't know.
The main thing I see with that is I don't think the Packers have come lower than second in that division with Rodgers.
Yeah,
like
I think they'll definitely win the division. It's just a matter of
I thought you had them as a. Okay, my bad.
No, they're the 3 seed in the NFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. I don't think that they go. I still think that they won the division most likely, just because the last time we saw them go even remotely close to below 500 was when Rodgers was out
the
for
the Bears had Trubisky and their defense was pretty decent.
Yeah.
And double doink happened.
Was that when Rodgers broke his collarbone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember he did come back that year, but then like he got hurt again,
Yeah.
or like they already were out of the playoffs and he like got benched for the rest of the year.
All right. Well, for the rest of the division, I have Vikings at 8-9. Like I said, I think they'll be a little bit better from last year, but I don't see a drastic improvement. I have them going 3-3 in the division. Bears fans, any of y'all listening, you're not gonna like this. I have you guys going 7-10. I just think
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton will be starter for too long when Justin Fields should be, I think, in my opinion, starter week 1.
Oh, I agree.
But
He's starting in this preseason game. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what their decision is on who starts.
When did Lamar Jackson take over when Flacco?
He took over week 12 or week 13. The Ravens went 5-1 in that span.
They still made the playoffs that year, didn't they?
And the one game they lost was to the Chiefs, which was honestly, I think
that was a really good game.
That was the best game of that season, the regular season. That was when Mahomes had that 50-yard pass to Hill on 4th down where he was running to the right.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. That was the only game they lost. So the Ravens that year were really good.
That was when they lost to the Chargers, right, in the wild card. I remember they were chanting for Flacco in the game.
But
this is when Lamar fumbled 6 times, right? Or something crazy.
He fumbled
like
I think 4 times, and then the last drive he fumbled to sell the game. But Bears, so I have the Bears going 7-10, but like I said, I think that could improve if maybe Fields steps in a little sooner. I can maybe see them sneaking in as the 7 seed.
Fields was struggling in this past preseason game.
I just don't see them coming anywhere close to winning the division.
But what I was trying to connect, of course, was with Lamar coming in is Fields coming in with Andy Dalton. But I think Jackson was left in a much better position than Andy Dalton could possibly leave Justin Fields. And has the start for Week 1 even been decided yet? Fields could start off.
I don't
the
think
gate,
they officially announced Andy Dalton as the starter, but I'm guessing they will start him just because of his experience that he has. And he's been on the Bears longer than Fields has. And I honestly don't think Fields has in his first game he was pretty impressive, but he hasn't really shown me that he's ready to take over right away.
He can eat a hit. That's what I saw in his first game. But I have them going 4-2 in the division. I think they might beat the Packers. I think they'll sweep the Lions, and then they might get a win against the Vikings. So, and then last place, I think we can all agree on this. The Lions 3-14.
Not a fan of Jared Goff. You don't like Jared Goff?
I think they have potential to be third in the NFC North. That O-line, Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow.
But they're blocking for Jared Goff.
That's true.
Wide receiver 1, Tyrell Williams.
Oh, they did lose
Rashad Perriman, he's a sleeper.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, okay.
He's only good on that.
No, wait, hold on, listen. Okay. They got this guy, from wide receiver from Wake Forest. He's projected to go in the 3rd round. He went undrafted, signed by the Lions. Sage Surratt. Look, I have a friend who's a Wake Forest fan.
I think I mentioned, or heard you mention him before. But they also drafted, what's his name? St. Brown.
Did they? I thought that was...
Yeah, no, that was the Lions.
Oh, okay. Well, I think a little bit of a hot take. I think that they place 3rd in the NFC North while the Bears take 4th. I think they're rebuilding their team in the right way under their new coach. Who's their new coach?
Lions?
I know. He was one who encouraged fighting. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. But
I don't remember what his name is. But obviously, Matt Patricia was not a very good coach.
Yeah.
But so having a new coach in general it will be helpful for them. And I personally think that offensive line is is the 3rd most important position in football. And obviously, Jared Goff isn't really going to get it done in Detroit. But if they have a good offensive line and they draft a quarterback, because obviously they're not going to be insane next year, I think they'll have potential to be a contender, or at least a playoff contender in a couple of years.
And another thing, we keep going back to fantasy, but Swift's production this year could certainly pick up. Like you said, they drafted Sewell.
Oh yeah, they have no their only option, like you said before, the receivers kind of suck. Their only options are Hawkinson and Swift, and I personally think that Swift will have a lot of production this year. I'm a little biased because I have him on my team. I'm actually trying to get rid of him if anyone wants to trade for him.
But Nazi for Eckler. I'm just not going to do that.
But yeah, I can see Swift having a big year with Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow. I like the Lions. I like how the rebuild's going.
I think they'll be 500 or above in the next 2 or 3 years. So should give it a little bit of time. But
I think they have to draft a new quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think they'll have probably a top 6 or 5 pick this year.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be able to get one of those quarterbacks like Malik Willis or whatever his name is from Liberty, Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell, one of those guys they'll probably be eyeing.
Yeah.
So just to kind of go ahead and move on, I can do. So you did the NFC North, so I can go and I'll go and do the AFC North.
AFC North.
All right. Here's Max's team. All right. So I actually don't have the records. I did have I had the Ravens going first.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think
it's Browns.
I think it's Browns. Ravens. No, I think in my opinion, I'm a Steelers fan. Y'all can't tell by now. I think it goes Ravens, Browns, Steelers. Mm-hmm. Steelers are the 7th seed. They'll probably lose first round because that's what they do. But I think they'll sneak in as a 7th seed. And then the Bengals will be the Bengals.
So that's actually exactly what I had. I had Ravens at first, Browns at second.
Browns are winning that division.
No,
I don't care what y'all say. Yes, they
Browns
are.
is the Browns.
Nah. Browns are
Bunch of
literally
nameless gray faces.
they don't have a single weakness on their team. Literally name one weakness on their team.
Didn't they get rid of Andrew Sendejo? I know he was an awful safety.
I think they did get rid of him. They brought in John Johnson. They brought in
safety.
John Johnson?
No, other than John Johnson.
Who are their backers?
I can't. Who is the Browns?
I'd say their D line is they have Myles Garrett, but other than that,
Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney has gotten 3 sacks in the past 3 years.
He's no scrub.
He is a scrub.
He did not
when
do
you
anything
have
on the
cornerbacks
Titans.
getting more sacks than you, and you're literally pure pass rusher, you cannot tell me that you are elite. And he made the comment the other day that
He doesn't need to be elite.
guards and centers aren't real athletes. Like,
don't they have Olivier Vernon too?
he's not good.
He's not. He's not a
He's
scrub.
not good.
Yes, he is. He's decent. That's all. That's honestly all he needs to be.
Okay, but like I said, this isn't my prediction, but for me, I think Ravens will go 12-5, Browns 11-6, Steelers 10-7. And Bengals 6-10, give or take.
Browns will be the best offensive line, a top 4
Browns
running
Best
do not
back.
have the
offensive
best
line?
They have the best offensive line. They
No,
statistically
in the
do.
whole league.
No, they do not. I would take the Colts, Packers, Saints over them.
They statistically last year had the PPF.
Yeah, statistically,
okay.
Quentin Dunbar 2 years ago was the second best safety or cornerback in the league. So you cannot use Pro Football Focus.
What if
as
they
a source.
improved on from last season?
Their offensive line. Well, Jedrick Wills was a rookie, and they have I don't even know. I know they statistically had the best offensive line in the league last year.
I can't see Baker.
I can see
taking
the
that
Colts
next step.
offensive
I
line
just don't.
being the best next year. Because I personally, I think Quinn Nelson's the best lineman in the NFL. But I also if Baker has a good line and he has healthy Odell, healthy Jarvis Landry.
That's the problem. They don't. So I think for that reason, wide receivers are kind of not a weakness, but
Weaker point
of the team. Just because they can't stay healthy. If they can still stay healthy, I think they're a top 10 wide receiver core easily. But they can't stay healthy. So until then,
Well, they're healthy right now.
Everyone's healthy right now.
Not Cam Akers.
Or Travis Etienne.
Yeah. No, but I was gonna say something about Browns. Browns, Mayfield.
You said you were talking about Baker taking the next step or something. We're on that.
That's what you said. You said receivers. Oh, I can't remember. I'll come back to it if I remember.
So we'll move on to you.
NFC South.
Sure, sounds like fun.
All right, so I have the reigning Super Bowl champs going 13-4 as the 1 seed. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet.
That's fair.
I don't really see them having a losing season. It's Tom Brady.
And they brought every single one of their starters
And
back.
I think Antonio Brown is only going to improve. Even though he got older, I think he'll improve. I miss him. But I've been going 13-4, 5-1 with it. 5-1 in the division, and I have them splitting with the Saints. And then I have the Saints as the 5th seed in the NFC. I have them going 12-5 and 4-2 in the division. Like I said, they split with the Bucks, and I think once a year they just play a terrible game against the Falcons, and I feel like that's going to happen again this year. But I'm really high on the Saints this year, just because I think Jameis. There's another hot take. Jameis is an improvement from Drew Brees last year.
That's
not
fair.
overall, just from last year. I mean, the one play Jameis played against the Bucks, he threw a 60-yard touchdown.
The Saints would have won the divisional game against the Bucks if Jameis had started the whole game.
I'd agree.
Drew Brees kind of sold.
I think it is Jared Cook.
Oh well, okay, Jared Cook. That
if
one
Jared
play.
Cook did not fumble that, anyway, good. off track. Don't get me on that.
Panthers 6-11. I just don't really see Darnold. I'm not too high on Darnold.
I really love that offense. Besides Darnold,
He's not a huge step up from Bridgewater.
I mean, people like to hype Sam Darnold up for that one play he made against the Niners last year. That one sidearm.
That's
throw.
like Zach Wilson making the throw he had at his pro day, where he was almost the same thing. He was stepping back and he just threw it deep.
I love that they're giving Sam Darnold a chance. I can definitely see him succeeding, especially with that receiving core of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, David Moore, who's no scrub, and then obviously McCaffrey coming back. They have the potential. They have the weapons there, but I don't know if it's Sam Darnold. He hasn't really shown much in his career that makes me believe that he'll take that step that everyone thinks he will.
I just don't really see that defense either. I mean, led by Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin. I'm not too high on that.
They brought in Hassan Reddick. He had a breakout year last year.
He had one good game against the Giants where he had like
5 sacks. He sacked the worst quarterback in the NFL 5 times.
3 forced fumbles.
I mean, it's still pretty insane.
And then last place, sorry Falcons fans, 4-13. Really
brought in Pitts.
Lost Julio.
I guess they
lost
did lose
Keanu
Julio.
Neal.
Keanu Neal's a scrub.
He was like a top 3 player on their defense, but
was he? Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett, AJ Terrell was better than them. AJ Terrell was underrated last year.
Okay, I'll give you that, but again, they weren't good last year, and I have no reason to believe that they will be this year either.
Matt Ryan
is only aging. But yeah. Anyways, moving back to the AFC, we will do the AFC South now, and Nate will get right into that.
So we definitely, I think we can all agree. Maybe not honestly. Titans first. I think that offense is just
I
insane.
agree. Yeah.
I can see that. If the Colts had a true
the Colts were overrated the other day.
Did I? I don't remember. Anyway, if the Colts had a true wide receiver one, like if Michael Pittman takes that step, or if T.Y. Hilton plays like he did in 2016, then
he won't.
Well, he won't because he's only getting older. I think the Colts will win the division. However, I honestly think that the Colts have a worse receiving core right now than the Ravens do, and the Ravens are typically considered to have one of the worst receiving cores with Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins.
I guess.
Yeah, but I think the Colts T.Y. Hilton aside from a couple weeks later, he was really bad. Yeah. I do remember having to start him in a couple of my fantasy teams one of the weeks, and he was just so awful. And then Michael Pittman, I really like Michael Pittman. I watch his YouTube channel, but I watched him ever since he was in college. But I don't know. As a player, he only had 1 touchdown last year. He had 2 games with 100+ receiving yards, and in that game where he got a touchdown, it was a 50-yard touchdown. He still didn't even get 100 receiving yards that game. So I don't know. I'm not very high on the Colts receiving core, and if until they get a receiver like that can be that number 1 receiver, I don't think that they will win the division. So I would agree with the Titans.
I'm not worried about their wide receivers. I'm worried about their quarterback.
That's true.
Wentz.
Just to finish out what I had Titans first, Colts second, Jaguars third, Texans fourth.
Yeah. But I personally, I actually do like the Jaguars. I think they have an underrated receiving core as well. DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, who for whatever reason has been really hyped up lately, which I don't understand. I mean, he's good, but I don't know where all this hype's coming from. And then obviously they brought in veteran Marvin Jones, who was proven to be a very, very good receiver, as he was the wide receiver 1 in Detroit for the longest time. So I think they have potential to have a. Oh, and also another thing I want to talk about, everyone is so low on their offensive line. Their offensive line is not that bad. They have Brandon Linder, Andrew Noel. Those are, decent O-linemen. They definitely don't have a bottom 5 O-line, which is, what everyone's saying they have. But I personally think their offense is very underrated. And then on defense, they have Josh Allen. C.J. Henderson's going into his second year, who I think was decent last year for considering how bad the cornerbacks were last year. Henderson, Miles Jack, they have. They drafted some safety. I can't remember what his name is, but I was pretty high on him in the draft. I can't remember them. But yeah, I like the Jags. I think that if Watson isn't there, they'll definitely be third. And I actually think they have the potential to win 6 or 7 games this year. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think it will happen. But if Trevor Lawrence is really that guy, then they'll win.
Even if they can win that many games, I don't think that will be enough to put them past. Even 9 games or something like that. I don't think that would still not be enough to put them past the Colts or the Titans. I think both of those are 10+ win teams.
The only thing with the Titans that worries me is that defense. That offense is already top 3 after getting Julio, but that defense.
Yeah, their defense is really suspect.
Scares me.
But then another thing about the Colts defense, I like the Colts defense, but I don't think it's top 3 or whatever people say it is. I'm high on Darius Leonard. They lost Malik Hooker, who I thought was really good. He just couldn't stay on the field. Who else they got? DeForest Buckner on the D line. I think did they stop Justin Houston?
No, I think he went to the Ravens.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know. I thought he went to the
a few weeks ago we signed with him.
And then they also have Xavier Rhodes, who actually he played a lot better than he did when he was on the Vikings. I don't know, everyone was saying he was washed up and he kind of had a redemption.
But he made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he did make the Pro Bowl that 1 year. Yeah, I don't know. I think their defense will be good next year, but I don't think it. I'm not as high on them as everyone else is.
All right, so I think that kind of wrapped up the AFC South. So move on.
And then
NFC East.
NFC.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Most controversial division. I think out of all the divisions that I projected, the one I have the most confidence in would probably be. I got to go to NFC North. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious Packers are going to win that. But anyways, into the East, I have Washington winning the division at 10-7. They're going to go 5-1 in the division.
I think we're going 6-0. Actually,
no, you are not.
I'll get to it. Just keep going.
And you're splitting with the Giants.
No, we're not.
0-4 in the past 2 seasons. I don't see how you're going to.
All right, all y'all listen up real quick. So me as a diehard Washington Redskins fan, I literally. Like, if we went 2-15 next year, but our 2 wins were against Daniel Stupid Jones and the Giants, Daniel Jones is so awful. I don't think you understand. Like, if we sweep Daniel Jones but lose every other game, I will be satisfied with our season. You don't understand how much I hate Daniel Jones. Anyway, keep going.
But we knew this was inevitable. This was going to happen.
Yeah, I think they're the 4 seed. And then this is where I think people will disagree. I think Dallas finishes second at 8-9, and they miss the playoffs, and they go 3-3 in the division, and they get swept by Washington, and can't remember what the others were, but yeah, that offense, I like it, but again, it's the same thing with the Titans. That defense, it's just not.
They
good.
Added Micah Parsons.
They had historically for a few weeks, like the first part of the season last year, I'm pretty sure they historically had like the worst defense in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons is not going to change that for recovering a fumble in a preseason. Okay. 3rd place in the division. Giants, 6-11.
Nope.
The Giants are winning a game this year. Whether you like it or not, they're winning a game, and it's most likely going to be against you guys. But they go 2-4 in the division, split with Washington, and then I think they probably split with, I'd say, the Eagles. And last place, Eagles, 5-12.
Ooh.
2-4 in the division. I like Jalen Hurts, but
Jalen Hurts has a lot of upside, but I don't know about him.
Just no improvements overall, I'd say, from the Eagles.
If they can stay healthy, they might be able to fight for the division. But in the past 2 or 3 years, they have failed to show that they can stay healthy as a team. So I just don't really see it.
They finally actually did
address the receiver need.
Yeah, with a
Devontae
decent
Smith.
pick.
Yeah. I am pretty high on Devontae Smith. The injury concerns, like I don't know. I don't know about his his frame. Like it scares me because I don't know.
His frame scares you, Caleb.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he might his potential to get hurt, but I don't know. Again, you can't say that he's going to get hurt. But obviously they did address the need for a receiver, and Dallas Goedert will probably take a step up there. Their offensive line, I think, is very underrated, top 10 in my opinion. And on defense, they still have Fletcher Cox, still have Brandon Graham. Slay, I think, is highly overrated, but he's still a very good corner. I'm also pretty high on Rodney McLeod. I think they still have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. But yeah, I don't see the Eagles doing much this year. But if Jalen Hurts can play like everyone thinks he's going to play, or some people, or Eagles fans at least, then I think they have a chance to go in for the division, considering it's the NFC East.
And then going into the AFC East now.
Yep.
Which is, in my opinion, one of the most controversial divisions.
Really? I would say it's one of the more.
I think it has a clear one.
You have 3 possible playoff teams in that division.
Oh.
I don't like New England as a playoff team.
I was gonna say
I like that defense, but that's what
I like
New
England,
line, but
Matthew Judon, half their defense, people forget, like, last year with people, like, dropping out of the league because of COVID, they're, like, half of their defense dropped out. I mean, I think Tevin McCourty.
Oh, Dante Hightower, I know.
Tevin
McCourty did?
They're getting Marquise Goodwin back this year, aren't they? Didn't he go to...
Marquise Goodwin.
I thought he was on the Eagles.
Oh, wait, yeah, he was. I don't know why I was thinking. I'm thinking of someone else who opted out, but anyways, yeah. All right.
So yeah, I definitely got the Bills first. I think we can all agree on that. Dolphins second. I still don't. I don't know what to think about Tua. To be honest, like there's
I don't know either.
There's so
I
many
think
things that could happen.
people are like, he generally shouldn't be labeled as a bust. Like he has the weapons. He has Will. They brought in Will Fuller. And they brought in, or they still have Devontae Parker, and they brought in Jalen Waddle to the draft. Those are 3 really good receivers. And they also.
I mean, the thing with that, like, Tua, the only problem with his receivers are that they're all deep threats, but Tua can't throw a good deep ball. I mean, you have Devontae
we saw that in
Parker.
the Cardinals game, though.
Yeah, you have Devontae Parker, who is a deep threat. You know, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, he showed he was really good at 50-50 balls. Even though his size, you would think differently. And then you have Jalen Waddle, another deep threat, and then Will Fuller, who is also a deep threat.
I think Jalen Waddle, by the way, will be the best receiver from this rookie class. Jamar Chase has been, I don't know about him.
Having some problems.
Yeah.
Better than Devontae Smith?
Jalen Waddle, I like Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith.
I mean, people forget, like, last year when Waddle was healthy, he was the wide receiver 1 at Alabama.
Yeah. I don't like the narrative of, like, the recent narrative of, like, taking all these, like, little speedy guys like John Ross, Henry Ruggs, those guys, because obviously it hasn't panned out. I think it's just teams in search of the next Tyreek Hill. And part of Jalen Waddle's game is similar to them. However, I don't think he has, like, the exact play style as them. I think he has a better chance to succeed in the Dolphins' offense.
So, just keep going down that list. Patriots 3rd, Jets, of course, last.
I don't like Zach Wilson.
I don't see the Jets.
Zach Wilson
really
will not
anywhere.
be successful in New York. If he wants to be successful, he'll have to leave, in my opinion. I don't think he didn't really impress me that much. Like, I honestly don't understand, because I remember back at the end of the regular season last year, even in the playoffs, like, the mock drafts had, like, him falling to, like, Washington at, like, pick what were we in, like, 19, I think, this year.
Yeah.
And, like, they had him falling a lot farther in the draft. Like, somehow just, like, after the season, like, he just got all this hype, and then he was just, like, the second best quarterback in the draft all of a sudden. I think he's the 4th best. I would personally take Lawrence Fields and Trey Lance over him. I like his deep ball. He is kind of mobile. I like his decision making, but I don't think he's going to be that guy in New York that will lead them to.
I don't think there's almost any guy in New York that can lead them anywhere. At least this season.
I think they should have taken Fields, in my opinion. I think the Bears got a really good steal with Fields.
Yeah.
Trading up to, what did they get? Like, they came out like 10 or 12?
I think they got him at 14.
14?
14.
Hold on, let me look this up.
I want to say it was 14 or 13. I know that.
I thought it was like 10.
So I remember the Broncos passed on at, like, pick 10. Because the Broncos had the 10th pick and they drafted Surtain. I mean, he did get a pick 6, but I
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
still think Fields was a better pick there.
I don't know. Well, anyway, I still think Fields is better than Zach Wilson, because I think he is, overall, his game's better. Although he's those Ohio State quarterbacks, you know how they are. Although Joe Burrow was an Ohio State quarterback. Keep that in mind.
So was Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, whatever.
Moving on to these last 2 divisions, AFC and NFC West. Well, what you got in the NFC West, man?
NFC West. See, this is, in my opinion, this year. I think last year the AFC North was the best. Kind of biased with that because I'm a Steelers fan. It's the only time I will support the Browns or Ravens. Is when I'm talking about how good our division is. This year, I think the NFC West will definitely be the best. I have the Rams getting the 2 seed at 12-5. They go 3-3 in the division just because it's such a hard division.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost impossible to sweep. I have the Niners going at 11-6, getting the 6 seed, going 3-3. I could have them going higher. I just think it's almost the same situation with the Bears. Because I think, in my opinion, Trey Lance will be the best QB from his draft class.
Oh, really?
That's what he was talking about earlier. That was he was talking about that possibly being his hot take, and I certainly see it as he's one of the more raw, talented quarterbacks.
He didn't throw a pick last year.
I think he has.
At North Dakota State. He didn't throw a pick at North Dakota State. I didn't know that.
He threw 26 touchdowns and no picks last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In terms of raw talent, like I was saying, he's definitely one of the higher ones, and I think it's definitely arguable that he has the highest ceiling out of any of the quarterbacks in this draft class. So I think I can definitely agree that he has the highest ceiling. How it will pan out, though, I don't know. Well, that's definitely something that
you think he has the highest ceiling? I think it's gotta be Trevor Lawrence. He has the highest
Trevor
floor.
Lawrence's highest ceiling is Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence has to have the highest
so
ceiling.
I think The
has
problem
the
with Trevor
highest floor.
Lawrence,
And high ceiling.
Trey Lance has such a great situation around him as a rookie QB. You know,
That's
a
true.
top 10 defense, decent O-line, decent receivers, pretty young.
Lots of young talent. Too.
Yeah, lots of young
They
talent
got Trey
around him.
Sermon in the draft.
Versus like Jacksonville, who has a bottom 10 defense, not an average O line, average
Solid.
receivers.
I would take Jacksonville's receiving core over San Francisco's.
I would too. I think it's about average.
Although right now at least, I think after this year, IU will take a step up.
Yeah.
And I would take them then. But as of now, I would take Jacksonville's receiving core.
And then this is a team people count on every year. I think they won't be as good as they were last year, but I still think they'll be pretty good. I had the Seahawks finishing in third place at 10-7 and going 4-2 in the division.
So you don't have them making the playoffs?
Oh, the 7th seed.
I thought you said the Saints were 7 seed.
The
Saints
were
were
the 5th
5.
seed.
Best wild card.
Oh, you got the Saints as that?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot you didn't say the Cardinals yet. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
So Seahawks 10-7. They just have a tough schedule, so I think it might be difficult to win games. And
We
they
had the
didn't
Cardinals
add to the defense. They drafted. Didn't they draft a wide receiver with their second over or?
They got that Dwayne Eskridge.
Yeah, I just don't really like that move when you have Tyler Lockett and DK, who are both DK at least is I think. I know you don't like DK, but DK after this year will be a top 5 receiver.
Oof, that's just not true.
Yep.
Whatever.
Anyways, 4th place, just missing the playoffs as the 8th team in the NFC. I have the Cardinals at 9-8 and going 2-4 in the division. The
I
reason
like
for
that.
this, I just don't really see. Yeah, they got J.J. Watt, but they got Chandler Jones is requesting a trade.
Oh yeah. I saw
Whether
that.
they're going to or not, it's up to them. But they went 8-8 last season.
People think that just like bringing in an old J.J. Watt and an old A.J. Green is going to make them make the
Yeah.
playoffs. Like I do agree that Kyler Murray I think he'll be an MVP candidate this year.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals still have one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in the league, and they also have a questionable defense. Like Isaiah Simmons has potential to step up this year, but he didn't show much last year. The only thing I can remember on top of my head is that pick he got in the game against the Sunday night game that gave the Cardinals the win. But like honestly, I don't know. Like, I like Budda Baker. I like they have Byron Murphy, right?
I have no clue.
I think I like Byron Murphy.
They
He's-
lost
he's
to
either
Tom
on-
Reddick, didn't they?
They lost Hassan Reddick in free agency, but I think J.J. Watt fills in nicely for him. And J.J. Watt's still a very good player when he's on the field, but injuries have been lingering with him over the past couple of years. And he's obviously not the same 3-time defensive player of the year that he used to be. But I do like the Cardinals as a potential sleeper playoff team, but I don't think until they get an offensive line improved and they get add a few more pieces to their defense, I don't see them winning is such a hard division, if not the hardest division in all of football.
I'm gonna just disagree slightly. I definitely agree with you saying they're not gonna win that division, but I
Or
honestly,
make the playoffs even.
yeah, but I definitely could see them beating the Seahawks out for that third spot. But that's the only thing I would say. Other than that, I would.
I
say you
think
hit
the
it
Seahawks
spot
are
on.
honestly like in a very, very similar situation to the Cardinals. Like they have a very good receiving core, an MVP caliber quarterback or potential MVP caliber quarterback.
But I would take the Cardinals quarterback situation over the Seahawks at this point. A young
you would take
Kyler.
Murray over Wilson.
Oh,
But just-
he's saying he would take Wilson over Murray, but for like the future, if he's
Oh,
building a
Just
franchise.
going
this
forward.
QB situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well then yeah, because Russell Wilson, I think he's like 33.
And then the
32.
Cardinals have what? James Conner,
And
who
Russell
was
Wilson.
painful to watch last year. And
Oh,
then
well,
Chase
Seahawks
Edmonds.
run game isn't amazing either. Chris Carson's never on the field.
He fumbles too much too.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson at the end of last year did not play very well. Towards the end of the year, he
I
did
mean, the
not play very
Seahawks still won the NFC West. I think that's mostly a fantasy perspective. Like I remember my dad had him in fantasy, and he was like QB1 for like weeks 1 through 8.
He was the leader for MVP, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
Yes.
was. That was his MVP season that first half of the year, and then he just kind of like let it slip. Like with losses, that loss to the Cardinals really like
Yeah.
spiraled off his. It gave. I felt really bad for him. I really want him to win MVP. Like I think he deserves it, but I don't know. Yeah, last year was not his year. But the Seahawks still won the division though, so I mean, you can't discredit him completely.
That's fair.
And then that's like I said before, like I think the Seahawks and the Cardinals are in very similar situations, like a questionable defense, like Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner obviously are very good, similar to Chandler Jones and Budda Baker are really good on the Cardinals. But like the rest of their defense, like their D line, like they've like Frank Clark, they have him. I think they have Frank Clark, or the Chiefs do. I don't know.
Yeah, the Chiefs do.
But yeah, like their defensive line, linebackers, they drafted Jordan Brooks last year. I don't know, he was all right, I guess. He wasn't the player that they wanted in the first round. Mm-hmm. And like I do really love the duo of Adams and Quandre Diggs. I think that's personally the best receiving or safety duo in the league. And then obviously I like Bobby Wagner. But overall, as a defense, I think they have to not let Kyler Murray and the Cardinals score like 30-something or whatever they did last year in the game. Like they have to step up and make the plays in some games.
So, yeah, I think moving forward to the AFC West, Max, was it you discussing a hot take that the Chargers could actually
that
win
was
the AFC West?
That was me. All right, well,
I disagree heavily with that one.
This is my hot take for the year. I personally think, well, actually, I don't know. I don't think, but I would not be surprised. Watch the Los Angeles Chargers and NFL passing yards leader Justin Herbert win the AFC West next year. Just hear me out for a second. The Chargers have one of, if not the most improved offensive lines in the league. Bringing in first-team All-Pro last year, Corey Linsley, drafting Rashawn Slater from Northwestern in the first round. Their offensive line, which was one of their biggest needs last year, has been heavily improved, and obviously all their healthy guys are coming back. They lost Trey Turner, who went to Pittsburgh. I was high on him, but I still think they have potential to be a really solid O-line for that, which Herbert can succeed in. And also they have healthy Eckler coming back. I'm a little questionable about their receiving core. Like I really like what Mike Williams and the potential that he brings to their team. I think he's one of, if not the best jump ball receiver in the league. Like that, I don't know, Nate remembers that catch he made against the Saints last year that almost won them the game. I don't know, what was that last year?
Yeah, that was that game.
Well, yeah, and then Keenan Allen, obviously top 15, top 10 receiver, whatever you like to think. And then obviously they lost Hunter Henry, but bringing in Jared Cook, I know Nate doesn't like Jared Cook either, but I don't think he's
Jared Cook.
He's
trash.
He's decent. He's decent. I don't know. I'm not too high on him, but he's made the Pro Bowl like the past 3 years.
The Pro Bowl is not a good argument.
I don't know. I mean, it's something. And then on defense, they have a healthy Derwin James coming back. Casey Hayward's getting older, or not Casey Hayward. Chris Harris.
They cut Casey Hayward.
Yeah, Casey Hayward's on the Raiders, but Chris Harris he's older, but he's still serviceable, and I really love who they got in the second round, Asante Samuel, cornerback from Florida State. I'm really high on him. I think he has potential to be the cornerback one for the Chargers at the end of the year. And then obviously on that defensive line, they have Joey Bosa, and they also have linebacker Kenneth Murray is taking his second year. I just think overall, while obviously the Chiefs have Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, I think we saw what happened in that Super Bowl when they didn't have Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher. Like their offensive line, although they did bring in Orlando Brown, it got a lot worse. Like we saw what happened when Mahomes has to run for his life the whole game. Like I saw he ran for in total, he ran for 500 yards that game.
Yeah.
Like it include running behind the line of scrimmage. Like that's insane. And their offensive line, Orlando Brown isn't going to change that on his own. So I just personally think that if that continues, and then the Chiefs also have a suspect defense in my opinion. Like I like Tyrann Mathieu, I like second year L'Jarius Sneed, I like
Did you say Chris Jones yet?
I don't think I did say Chris Jones.
Frank Clark.
They have Frank Clark? I thought they had D Ford, or is that the Niners?
That's the Niners.
I get all those guys mixed up. Yeah. But yeah, I like their D line. I'm not sure about their linebacking corps. I think they have who's that one guy? Anthony. I don't even know what his name is. He's some white guy.
Don't they have they have Matthew? Is Sorensen still safety?
Daniel Sorensen. I think he's a linebacker. I think they moved him to middle linebacker. Daniel Sorensen. I don't know.
I got the pick when D Ford jumped off sides in that game.
Yeah, I do remember that. But I don't know. I don't love the Chiefs' defense. I actually would personally. I like the Chargers' defense more than the Chiefs this year. But I don't. Obviously Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. They're not gonna. I don't personally think the Chargers will win the division, but don't be surprised if they do.
Just to kind of finish out those predictions, definitely Chiefs first. Chargers second, of course, like you said. I do think the only thing I would say differently than you is I think Herbert honestly takes a step back.
You don't like?
I think he does a Baker Mayfield where he throws
sophomore slump.
Yeah, I mean Baker in his sophomore year threw, I want to say,
27 tutties.
After breaking the rookie record, he kind of
Herbert shattered the rookie record. He used to like
Baker did. I don't know if he shattered it. He broke it, but then the next year he threw. I want to say I know he threw like
that. I think that was part to Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, some of the throws he had just were Baker's fault. I mean, granted, he didn't do that last year.
Also, to support what you were saying about the Chargers, they got a new coach as well. They fired.
What's his face?
Anthony Lynn.
Yeah.
Anthony Lynn.
Who
yeah.
He was.
Who did they bring in? Did they bring in?
But I see people blame coaches too much for collapses like that. Like a coach, speaking firsthand as a Steelers fan, I see it every single week when we take a 20-point lead and then blow it like that. It is not so much on the coach, just as much on the coordinators for being laid back. I mean, we saw what happened in like the Browns-Steelers game where Steelers cut it out, I think, to 12 points at one point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because the Browns were playing prevent defense the whole time and not being aggressive on offense. So they let them get right back into the game when, in reality, you should just keep your foot on the gas pedal.
I actually slightly disagree. Like, I think head coach means a lot more than people think because
I think culture-wise, yes. Like how you motivate a team, but like big decisions. Yeah,
I guess you can't. You can tell your players what to do all you want, but that doesn't mean you're 100% going to do it. But like I saw firsthand, although we only went 7-9, like Ron Rivera came into Washington and it took one season for us to win the division, and something we haven't done since 2015. I was really happy with Ron Rivera, and I think that he was one of the biggest reasons why we won the division in the first place.
Being the only one who has played football here, I think I definitely lean more towards Caleb with head coach meaning a lot, and Maddox said it too. The culture they bring.
I think it's more so culture, not like how players perform like in big moments, because the coach doesn't.
Well, the coach will make the players want to step up. I think the coach
doesn't mean the players have the initiative to do it though.
Well, the goal of a coach is to make the players want to play for them. If you want to play for a coach, you're gonna play harder for them.
I agree, but at the same time, like that's more like a mental thing rather than like it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, which is like.
Well, like just watching some of the Chargers games last year. People blamed Lynn for them, when in reality, like, for example, the Falcons game, Falcons-Chargers, Herbert, I want to say, from my memory, he threw 2 picks in the last, 4 or 5 minutes when he was going on, a game-winning drive. Threw 2 picks in, I think, the span of, 3 minutes, but people want to blame that on Lynn, when in reality, that's not Lynn's fault that Herbert made a bad read or overthrew a pass. Coach doesn't determine if a quarterback does that.
Not to stray too far from the actual division standings, just to round it out, I'd say the Broncos get third.
That defense is going to be scary this year. But Drew Lock, Teddy Two Gloves, not getting it.
Teddy's a
starter now.
So I'm saying, I think they're going to switch out. I think they're going to have a similar thing like Winston and Fitzpatrick had in 2019. So I remember Winston was hurt, and they started Fitzpatrick, but Fitzpatrick had those 3 games stretch where it was Fitzmagic or whatever. Do you remember that that Monday night game against y'all when Vance McDonald had that stiff arm?
Oh yeah.
Fitzpatrick played was he almost came back and won that game, but and then they ended up switching with him and Winston the whole year. I think it's gonna be a similar thing. The Broncos are gonna get frustrated with Teddy Bridgewater and try to bring back in Drew Lock, because I personally think that the Broncos have a higher ceiling with Drew Lock. They have more potential with him, but also from what we've seen, Drew Lock is not very good, and Teddy Bridgewater has proven to be at least serviceable. Yeah. But I have a feeling they're going to have a short temper with him.
I can certainly see the AFC West as a whole taking a huge step up. I think that receiver core for the Broncos takes a huge step forward. They get Courtland Sutton back. I think that also takes some of the pressure off Jerry Jeudy. And
KJ Hamler will take another step.
KJ Hamler is
I'm also a high on Noah Fant. He was almost one of my fantasy sleepers. I think he'll be a top 10 tight end by the end of this year.
And they have like who that Bowles who had to break out year on the
Garrett
offensive
Bowles,
line.
yeah, he used to be terrible. I remember like he was awful, and last year they switched him to tackle because he used to play guard.
Yeah,
It's
he
been
broke out.
great ever since.
And to round off that, the Raiders in last. Another thing that I have to mention is Josh Jacobs. He is going very low in fantasy leagues. Just one last fantasy thing. Like I saw that he didn't go the first 5 rounds in our league at least. And I remember last year, he was like first, second round, wasn't he?
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. We talk about this all the time. It's not necessarily like a legit thing, but like I don't know if any of our listeners watch TikTok, but the NFL TikTok community just like they decide like every month just to like hate on one specific player, and it just like switches every month. And one specific month it was Josh Jacobs, and like for whatever reason they're just saying how Josh Jacobs was this awful player. But like in reality, like he improved off of his rookie year. People are saying he was going really high in fantasy drafts last year after his rookie year, but he had more touchdowns and like barely less yards. I think it was like 50 or something less yards than he did in his rookie year. And people are all of a sudden saying that he's like, don't draft him in fantasy. Like I do understand the concern with Kenyon Drake coming in. Like they didn't pay him $8 million for nothing. Like he's gonna get snaps. And also they have Devontae Booker, I think that's what his name is. That guy. He's no scrub either. But like I am a little concerned about like his carries and stuff. But he's going very low. Like I personally would take him in fantasy over Miles Sanders. But I don't know.
That's interesting. We're gonna ignore that for now.
All right, whatever.
But yeah, I think that just about rounds out our predictions.
I mean, there's not really a bad team. Like, in each division there's like a bad team. Like, AFC North, it's the Bengals. AFC South, it's the Texans. Like, the Raiders, yeah, they'll be in last in my opinion. But that doesn't make them a bad team.
I don't really like
I think they'll go 7-10 or like 8-9.
I like Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs. They have like a very bad offensive line. They lost Rodney Hudson to the Cardinals, who, although is very old, he's still a very good center. He's like one of the few. There's not very many good centers in the NFL, I noticed, but he's one of them. Their receiving core, Henry Ruggs. They have Tyrell Williams now.
He went to the
Nelson
Lions.
Aguilar.
Oh, yeah, he did go to the Lions.
Nelson
went
to the Patriots.
Henry Ruggs. Oh, they have what's his face? Hunter Renfrow. He's decent. Hunter Renfrow.
Good slot.
They also got that guy. Y'all know that Zay Jones dude who like that dude like standing up,
teleported up.
Yeah, he's like that receiving core.
They also have Darren Waller though, so
that's true. I didn't even say that. Darren Waller is like top 3 tight end, but whatever. I'm not very high on their receiving core. I'm not high on their offensive line. Their defense is very bad. They brought in Yannick Ngakoue. I like him. He went to Maryland, but he's still not very good anymore. After he left Jacksonville, he was never really the same. But I honestly I'm not high on the Raiders this year. They reached last year in the first round with getting Damon Arnett, that corner from Ohio State. I have no idea why they did that.
Then who'd they get from Clemson? You know who I'm talking about?
Cleveland Farrell. He got him with the 4th overall pick.
That was not a good pick.
They had, that was 2019, right? They could have got Devin White. Yeah. They could have got Devin Bush. Literally anyone except for, I don't know. I'm not high on him. And then Damon Arnett, they drafted over. They could have got Patrick Queen, Kenneth Murray, and obviously the Jerry Senior, those later guys. But first round talent, they had better players on the board. I honestly don't know why they reached on Arnett. But yeah, I don't personally like the Raiders this year. I like Derek Carr and I like Josh Jacobs and I like Darren Waller, but that's pretty much about it. I actually also don't like John Gruden. I don't know why they gave him isn't it 10-year $100 million contract?
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
If they want to go anywhere, I don't think he is the answer for them, especially in that division.
So, yeah, if you guys don't have any other finishing thought, I think that about wraps up this episode 1. So how about that? Well, I'm your host Nate Sager, and I got my 2 boys. I got Maddox and Caleb here. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you guys.
Especially if you got this far. Any feedback is appreciated. So, I'll see you guys next time.
Until next time.